wow, what a community that we have. I'm just, overwhelmed with the positivity in our group, overwhelmed with the action takers in our group. And I'm just so extremely proud, of everybody that's in there. I want to say hey to a couple people that I see that's on Zoom right now: Alicia, Darnell, Dawn, Rashawn, Jamari. We're so glad to have you. Again, today is our Thursday question and answer session. So if you want to, utilize this time to learn, it's a great time. Hey, Alicia, it's a great time to start putting your questions in, letting us know, what you got. Hey, Hampton. Hey, Dawn. Hey, Lee. So glad to have you. Actually, Peter will be in just a minute. Today's kind of been one of those days. A lot of different things going on. It's wonderful, here at the office. But what I do want to start with is we did get some questions off Facebook, so we want to go ahead and get those answered. And actually, Lee's on listening too. So
cool. We on?
Mm-hmm.
All right. What's going on, everybody? Remember, Thursdays, guys, is very simple. It's really designed for you guys to ask us questions. It's really not designed necessarily for us to provide any new information other than answer the questions you have. We think we provide tons of information already. We have tons of recordings. And guys, for those of you all that are just kind of still part of the group, but really haven't really taken the next step forward in terms of working with us, I would strongly encourage you guys do. We have people that become part of our partner-driven coaching program. They are absolutely killing it with us. We're doing deals with them. We're making money with them. And really this whole group is designed for really to mix all of you guys together. But again, for those of you all that are just kind of checking us out, trying to figure this thing out, if you want to be successful in this business, you really got to take it up a notch. Start working with us directly. Start working with us privately. And that's where you become part of our partner-driven coaching program. So to do that, when we're done here today or right now, just go to our website, coachingbypeter.com, fill out the information there, and we'll touch base with you. You actually can even call me directly at 404-915-9685. There's really two types of people in this business as far as I'm concerned. There's the lookers. They're the ones that are part of everything. They have a lot of knowledge. They don't miss a seminar or webinar. They go to all the free stuff out there, and, they get what they pay for, pretty much nothing. And then there's other people that are ready to take action. They're taking action in terms of investing into themselves financially. They're investing into themselves time-wise. And really, those are the ones that we're trying to extract out of this whole organization. Because part of being in a part of our partner-driven coaching program is, we do a lot of stuff for our clients there. We help with the marketing. You use all my money to get the deals done. We help with the construction. We sell the properties together. We split the profits. Anyway, enough about that. But if you're ready to take it up a notch, ready to start making money, you need to be part of that. But what we did is a couple of days ago, I put a post on on our page.
We should start calling Facebook now the book.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why I said that.
No, it's awesome.
But I put a post up about questions that somebody may want to ask me if they have an ability to do that. And so we just want to pull a couple questions out today and just kind of go through it from my point of view, maybe from Julie's point of view. Again, if you guys have anything directly you want to ask us, fire away. And then when we're done, we're done. I think you said Julie said Lee's on here. So let's see what Lee had to ask us. Lee said, what's the best properties to focus on? I'm getting leads on houses from 70K up to $1 million. Should I look at everything? Should I be a little bit more discriminating in terms of targeting a certain range? So Lee, obviously we know you well. I think we're in the process of doing a deal with you already right now. You are part of the partner-driven coaching program. So that's fantastic. Look, my general answer to something like, where do I start? Do I start with a $70,000 property or a multi-million-dollar property? you're going to start out with the lower end properties. I mean, for a lot of reasons, a lot of obvious reasons. They're a little bit easier to find because there's a lot more $70,000 properties, no matter where you are, than there are multi-million-dollar properties. So your pool is a lot bigger. Also, ownership, in terms of mentality of owners, in terms of options of owners, people that tend to own multi-million-dollar properties just tend to have more options. They have more resources, they have more ability to hang on to things. So they be matters, so don't tend to, not that they can't get in trouble, because we all know they can, but they tend to be able to withstand the storm a little bit more than the ones that own a little bit lower end properties. So for a variety of reasons, I would always stay in a lower end of the market when you're starting out than a higher end of the market, even if we're partnering with you. Because remember, just because we're partnering with you doesn't mean we're going to be doing everything. I mean, we're going to put you in response. You're going to be responsible for a lot of things during that deal. And, last night I was sitting with someone and we were talking about really this exact same thing. And it was a real estate agent, and she was telling me about a deal that she's selling that she's literally has to back away from now because her seller's in foreclosure and it's, past that time and they're losing the property. And her thing was very simple. Had he not started out with a $700,000 property, because it was one of his first couple of deals he's ever done, had he started out with $150,000 or $100,000 property, he wouldn't be where he is today. It has nothing to do with anything other, in that particular situation, what it had to do with was the ability to do the finishes. Here it is, he's trying to do first couple deals, this investor, and things you're not even thinking about, like finishes. Who in the heck would be thinking about finishes when you're trying to do, when you're doing $1 million, $500,000 deal, you're trying to, you're thinking about how am I going to make money? But what sunk this deal was his lack of experience in literally doing finishes the right way. And
yeah, I mean, you're not going to go on $1 million house. You're not going to go to Home Depot and pick out your finishes.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And at that point, it was too late. By the time the realtor got a hold of it, everything was done. It was literally an unsellable property, and now this person is losing the deal. So anyway, not to build. I don't know if you have anything else to add to all of that.
No, I totally agree. And anybody that knows when they talk to me, the only areas that I like to do deals in, really are blue collar areas. And a simplistic way to look at it is you got to think about in America who all the buyers are. As he was saying, the buyers are the regular people, the blue collar workers. So I want to be in properties that I can sell. And I kind of have a rule when I do a rehab. If I can't sub almost the whole job out to Home Depot, which I don't do, by the way, but if you can't about sub everything out at Home Depot, I'm not going to do the job. Just as simple as that. I mean, I don't use the GC jobs, but you better be able to go pick out everything at a Home Depot or a Lowe's, because I'm not going to be installing marble and all of that stuff, in there. You may move to this next question.
Yeah.
Hey, Dana. Dana's down, one of our partners down in Daytona, Florida. We're actually working on a couple deals with her right now. Dana wants to know, are we limited on a monthly basis as to how many rehab deals we can do partnering? We are not limited to how many we will partner with. However, I'm not going to get 10 deals deep with we're not going to get 10 deals deep in with somebody until they've actually completed projects and they've sold. Our goal is, to build a long-term relationship and do as many as we can. But, we've got to complete one so that I have the confidence to move forward, to the next one. However, there's no limit to how many wholesale deals we can do. So always, keep that in mind, Dana, because if we're going direct to seller, then we'll just wholesale those deals there. But great question. Jamari wants to know, and I love answering this, Jamari. And by the way, if any of you guys don't believe in direct mail, you need to. Jamari actually sent out his first direct mail pieces, and he was just blown away at getting his incoming calls. I actually talked to him last night, and we're really, really, really excited about that. But what do you do when a seller from an inbound call says, why do you need my info? You sent me the postcard. You should know my info already. Okay. Well, sir, I sent out a lot of postcards. I don't know who, which one's yours and which one's not. If you just give me the address, I'll look it up in my system. And then, Jamara, whenever you get the address, you're going to be able to verify the information just by typing it into Google and looking at Zillow. So for you to be able to verify your records, you need their address so that you can find it. Okay. Or, well, I'm just not in front of my spreadsheet right now. I mean, can you just give me the address? Something like that. You ought to be able to get past, those objections, fairly easy, just by, kind of pushing it off there that way. Let's see, Darnell. If you live in an area that has a high cost right now, how can you tell if you're paying too much for the property? And that's the question here. So, really, whether pricing to buy a house has nothing necessarily to do with the cost of the house. Wouldn't you agree? Mm-hmm. As long as it's basically a formula that you use. All right. So, generally you want to be looking for at least 70 cents on the dollar minus repairs. In any price range, you should be, fairly okay with that. But just know the higher the price range, not only the problems that Peter was talking about, but the higher it's going to cost to resell the house. I mean, you look at an $800,000 house at 6% commission, your profits just get 8. That's why, I like being in a little bit, lower price range there. So I don't know that the high cost of the area really equal the deal. You just have to look at each deal individually and price it out that way. Hope that answered that question there.
I got some more here if you're done. Well, go ahead and answer those first. But if there's,
I think we're good on here.
All right. So there was a question that came in from Talent, and the question was marketing segmentation, how to pick the right market. So I will tell you, this is a question that comes up to me personally. Like people look at all the deals we're doing literally all over the nation. And so what a lot of people focus in on is they always ask me, well, how do you choose which market? Why are you in Texas? Why are you in California? Why are you in Georgia? Why are you wherever it is we're at? So my general rule of thumb is this: we're never chase markets. We always chase people. So from from our perspective, we chase people and we chase deals. So we do not necessarily care that we're in a high-end market like California or low-end market, a deal we did in Michigan, or a mid-range market like we are in Florida. We have the right people in there. They're finding the right deals. Now, what I think Talon was talking about was probably specifically where their market is and how do they figure out which part of their own market to be in. And it goes along the way what Julie and I just been talking about, in terms of, do you go with high end or low end? Would you go size and all this? I would stay kind of, especially towards the beginning, I would stay at mid-price range or under, wherever market you're in. Okay, kind of the blue-collar workers. And again, I could talk forever and ever here about why you want to stay in those markets, but those tend to be the perfect areas to be doing deals in, okay? For those of you that are working with us directly, if you hear me talk about it, sometimes I describe them as kind of the hodgepodge areas. Those are the areas where properties tend, where you have kind of a discrepancy. You have all kinds of properties. You got a newer house, you got a little bit older house, you got some stuff that's being renovated, you got some stuff that needs to be renovated, you got some renters, you got some homeowners. Those tend to be the perfect areas to stay in terms of doing deals in. All right, we had a question come in from Joseph. Joseph is also part of our private coach, partner-driven coaching program. I'll tell you, unbelievable story about these guys. They're actually overseas. They're the Garcias are in the Army, I believe.
Yeah, they're in Japan.
They're in
Yeah.
Japan. They just had a baby, like literally like 3 weeks ago. Working with them, it's like they haven't missed a beat. I mean, you know, sometimes you just kind of, you know, there's two types of people we work with. One, you half the time you're motivating them. You're like, well, what the hell? I mean, why are you even doing this business? Because half the time I gotta sell you on how great this thing is. And then you got this other one kind of person you're working with that are just like balls to the wall, all out, killer, as we call them here. The Garcias, that's the line they fall into. I mean, had a couple of weeks ago, they just breezed through that, meaning they're still hitting it, they're still putting offers out, and they're in Japan. So they're about, I don't know how many hours, but like they're literally in a different time schedule than we are in terms of time zone. So they're out of the area. They're just had an addition to their family. They're in a different country, and still, no matter what it takes. So I absolutely love working with these guys.
And Kristen's working on a deal right now.
Yeah, they always got stuff going on. I mean, it's just really, really cool. And so Joe's question was, how do you find motivated sellers? And Joe, you and I have been talking about this a lot. But I will tell you, I'm gonna take kind of a unique approach on this answer from their perspective, because some of you all may not be like in Japan, but some of you all may be doing deals, or you might be in areas where this may make sense. So because they're in Japan, they could easily be working like in Atlanta, Georgia, or they could be working in Jacksonville. Because like, you know, when you're a million miles away, does it really matter if you're working here and there? You know, unless you have some reason, like maybe you're from an area and you know 600 sellers there, or maybe you're from an area and your dad's a contractor. So you're like, well, I got to stay here because my dad could fix it. They don't really have any of those specific ties to any area. But interestingly enough, what Joe has been able to develop over a number of years is a number of bird dogs across certain markets. So we're focusing specifically in areas in terms of finding sellers in areas where he's got bird dogs. So the question is, how do you find motivated sellers? Find something that's going to kind of gravitate you towards a particular thing that you may have an advantage in. Again, their advantage, they have two things that I told them. One, motivated sellers, we're going to find them through your bird dogs because you already have some bird dogs. The other thing I told them, and this may be something that a number of y'all can benefit from. See, initially when we started, they were working out of Japan and they were picking major markets like Atlanta to work in, a couple of other major cities. And see what I told them, and there's a couple other of our partner-driven coaching clients that I specifically focus on. What I tell them is this: look, you have a little bit of a disadvantage not being exactly where you're doing deals in. I mean, let's face it, there's no way to spin that other than, yeah, of course. I mean, if you're not where exactly, if you're on the front end of this business and you're not necessarily in the same time zone and you're not exactly have the ability to go look at sellers or look at properties, you have a little bit of a disadvantage. Mm-hmm. But the advantage they have is they have more flexibility. So what I told them is, listen, let's stay away from major markets like Atlanta, because Atlanta's got 6,000 investors here already, a lot of competition. It's kind of hard to beat up the competition when you're 12 hours behind, it's fairly new and all this. So I told them their best chance of finding motivated sellers is being in a second tier markets, okay? So I know a lot of people don't look at, you know, when they're looking for motivated sellers, you know, well, I got to do direct mail, I got to do bandit signs. And what a lot of people aren't really considering is even the marketplace potentially that they're doing this stuff in. And I will tell you, I think there's a huge competitive advantage staying in the second tier markets. Like for instance, if you go over to deals we're doing in, where's Tony located? I don't even know.
Tyler.
I've never heard of Tyler. You know, where's Seth located?
Modesto, Turlock.
I've never heard of Modesto until I met, where do we do the deal with Rob in Michigan?
Well, it was outside of Detroit.
It was out. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
definitely outside. It was about like 40 minutes outside. So it was a second tier market there, right? I mean, pretty much.
Pembroke Pines in Florida right now. We're doing 2 deals. We're closing Lorraine's on Friday and Denisha's tomorrow. So.
And I have no idea where Pembroke Pines is, but we're doing what, 2 deals there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing 2 deals there. So if these are just some random deals that we're pulling out, but I could tell you guys, in terms of finding motivated sellers, the strategies don't necessarily change. You go to Driving for Dollars, all that kind of stuff. But what many of y'all may want to consider is going to these second tier markets because there's a lot less competition there. Now, obviously less inventory, but guess what? Sometimes I'd rather go after fewer properties, but with less people going after them than going after a little bit more properties with every Tom, Dick, and Harry going after them. So when you're looking for motivated sellers, don't just look at the strategy you're going to implement, potentially be considering the market that you're going to be doing that in. Let's see.
I have a couple on here.
Yep, go ahead.
Rashawn wants to know, as a newbie, how does he share possible deals with you in his current area?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Rashawn wants to know how he could share possible deals with you in his area.
Well, so we always want you to do at least a little bit preliminary due diligence on these deals. Okay, we don't want you just every time you see a deal to be throwing it into our world, because we don't have the resources to handle all the deals coming in. Now, where we do have 100% of the resources is if you're part of our partner-driven coaching program. There, I mean, we're just totally available to our clients and all this. But I think Rashawn is probably just part of our web-based community. So, Rashawn, we can't really promise that we're going to even get back to you if it's not the right deal. But what we want you to do ahead of time is when you find a deal, number one, make sure it's not an MLS at the price that it's listed for, and you're not getting it for that price. We probably don't want to be working with wholesalers. Make sure the deal you're talking about is you're working directly with the owner, okay? If it doesn't happen to be on MLS or through a wholesaler, make sure you've negotiated a good price. But we initially want you to do some initial due diligence by at least getting some local real estate agents into that property, doing a walkthrough of it, and then letting you know what they could sell it for once the property is fixed up. And once you have those preliminary numbers and you got at least about a 35 plus or 40% equity in there, then just get a hold of me directly. And I'd love to talk to you about the deal and tell you what the next step is. So remember, the key is get some third-party opinions from real estate agents about the property by having them get inside there. And if you still see a 35 to 40% equity in there, get a hold of me directly at 404-915-9685. Anything else there?
And then here's one. He wants to shrink down and ride on your shoulder and take notes. Well, as soon as we find a pill for shrinking, then we'll work on shrinking. I don't know. Sorry, I just felt that cute and funny. Let's see.
But I will add something on to that. What we've been talking about, or really kind of what Julie's been bringing up a couple times, is that we're probably going to do some kind of a live event here coming up, right? So sometime this year, in the next couple months, we will do a live event where some of y'all will be able to come in here for a weekend. And Julie and I are going to lay it all out. We're going to show you exactly what we do. We're going to show you what we do behind the scenes here. Well, I don't think we have a date yet, but in terms of kind of getting on our shoulders and being part of what we do and experiencing real life, what's going on here in these offices and what our people do and how things are running, we will give you the opportunity to do that here in the next couple months.
Cool.
Okay.
I found houses driving for dollars, but I can't find the owners. When I find the owners, they don't want to sell for a discount. They act like they're making me a favor selling me their house, even if they have a list pendants file. Okay. So Victoria, you just got to keep moving and keep going forward. And the problem that you're doing is you're negotiating over the phone when you're getting started. Okay. Doing the driving for dollars. You need to be setting appointments and going and visiting these homeowners at their property. You're going to get a lot less pushback when you actually go to appointments than than anything else. Okay. And never be afraid to tell someone, look, you don't have very many options right now. You're fixing to lose your house. I'm trying to help you out of a situation. So I hope that answers the question, but just reading between the lines, please set appointments instead of trying to do your driving for dollar leads, and get it all done over the phone. The more appointments you go to, the better you're going to be on the phone. Okay. The more opportunities you're going to have. Whenever people get started in this business, and by the way, I negotiate a lot over the phone, so I'm not against it. But the experience you gain by going on appointments is priceless. Him nor I can teach you every scenario and the things that you learn just by going on appointments. So, oh yeah, well, and I don't know what for question mark means, but I don't know if that if you're commenting on whether you should go to appointment or not, or not sure. But, and then people in this world, some people in this world are just unrealistic. And unfortunately, you're never going to be able to solve that objection. Okay. But definitely glad you're on. Carrie wants to know just about, getting started, getting the first property. I mean, you're in a great place. There's a lot of, video trainings, within this group. So I would, divulge and go through all that, start learning and start taking action. Okay. You're never going to get started unless you put one foot in front of the other. Okay. Start, driving for dollars, start putting out bandit signs, doing anything to get yourself going. All right. So the biggest problem I see is people think they have to understand everything completely before they get started. You nor I am never going to know everything about this business. So just push forward, Carrie, and just make a move.
All right, here's another question that came in. How to determine the repair cost and how to purchase rental cash flow properties for myself. So look, Alyssa had this question. I'll tell you guys, 20 years in a business, thousands of deals. I mean, to this day, we're sitting here and if somebody asked me how to repair like that little drawer there, I wouldn't be able to repair. In my opinion, I think a lot of people put way too much value in thinking they have to understand every facet of repairs in this business. Now, do you have to be able to get the answer for it? Of course. I mean, probably 90% of the deals we do here need some kind of repair done to them. So, and along the way, we have systems in place here. We have people in place here that are able to give us those numbers. But I personally, because again, I've been doing it for 20 years and I've done just fine without understanding really anything as it relates to construction. My answer in this regard is actually probably very different than so many that you may expect. I'm saying I wouldn't worry about it. I mean, from my end, from day one, I've always worked with contractors that gave me, just basic bids on properties. And when a contractor wasn't available, many times I worked with real estate agents that gave me some basic numbers on a repair cost. And when they weren't available, I worked with real life inspectors that I paid a little money to that gave me bids on deals that I was doing. And again, that's just something I personally never really wanted to understand, never had the mindset to understand. And I know that you could work through that. So I would not, spend an inordinate amount of time, because construction is a complicated business. It is very difficult to understand really all facets of it. And I was always of opinion. I was taught from the beginning, and I kind of went with that philosophy. In the beginning, you're ballparking it. I mean, let's say you're going to wholesale a deal. You don't need to know to the dollar how much it's going to cost to fix it, because in the end, you're going to wholesale it to someone that's going to do their own due diligence on it. If you're going to spend 3 hours figuring out to the dollar how much it costs, and then the next guy's going to, he's going to put different flooring down, he's going to put different windows in, and all of a sudden his repairs are different and all this. So as far as wholesaling, it's just a ballpark. And if you're going to fix and flip, well, then you're going to get a real life contractor in there, and who's going to do the work, and he is going to give you the accurate number. So, So from my end, I never overthink the repair cost. I always had a third party get the numbers for me. But I guess if you had to get a general rule of thumb, maybe you could help them out, because I know you're way better at figuring out, like, how do you, when you go in a house, how do you kind of ballpark stuff?
Well, you want to be looking at major things like a roof, your heating and cooling systems, your bathrooms and your kitchens, because what sells houses is bathrooms and kitchens. Okay. A full bathroom remodel is going to be $5,000 to $6,000. The roof's going to be somewhere between $6,000 and $8,000. An air conditioner is going to be somewhere between $6,000 and $7,000. These are just, kind of basic things. Really, the way that you learn those things are by getting bids. Okay. You want somebody trustworthy that knows what they're doing to walk through and give you bids for properties. Okay. But I want to give you a little bit of a warning here. And this is because my husband just so happens to be in this business. Do not just call contractors and have them do a bunch of bids for you where you never hire them. They will never call you back again, and you're really wasting their time. And if you've ever actually put a bid together, it costs an extreme amount of time to pull bids together by the time you're looking at flooring and paint and everything. So you're kind of learning a lot of this stuff as you're going there.
All right. We had some more question in here. I love this question, knowledge. So we're going to skip that one because, hopefully everything we're telling you guys about is tied into knowledge. Let's see, how to get real estate agents on my side looking for deals for me. Well, it's a little bit what Julie said right now. I mean, in the end, you want to be taken seriously. Like, when we were just talking about contractors, the only time I get a real life contractor involved is when I'm actually going to buy a property, fix a property, and sell a property. Because like Julie said, if I get a contractor to run around every single wholesale deal I'm going to do, to give me a bid on no properties I intend to buy, that contractor is like within 3 bids is going to be like, screw you, I'm never going to do that for you again. Mm-hmm. Well, same with real estate agents. How do you get someone to take you seriously? If all you're going to do is have real estate agents look for deals for you, get deals to you, maybe even negotiate deals for you, and you have no intention of buying anything, you're just wasting people's time in this business. So the way you get anyone to take you seriously, whether it's a closing attorney, a contractor, a real estate agent, is you have to have the ability to perform. I mean, really, that's what it comes down to in this business. People, they don't care if you're new or experienced. They don't care if you're male or female. They don't care if you live in Georgia or in California. None of that really matters. All these people think, well, I'm new, so no one's going to take me. No, not really. Or I'm a woman and I have a disadvantage, or I don't know as much as he. No. It's all about performance. It's all about performance. Like when we're wholesaling our deals here, we want to know, we are looking for legitimate people that have the ability to perform. We don't care if they live in Georgia, they live in China. We don't care any about those things. We just care about performance. So how do you get a real estate agent to take you seriously? Make sure you can perform. If you're going to have somebody do something for you in this business, make sure they get rewarded. And the way people get rewarded is by really getting jobs. A contractor gets the job. A realtor gets the ability to list the property in the back end or something like that. Mm-hmm. So in the beginning, a lot of times before you have the ability to perform, some of these tasks you have to do yourself is really what it comes down to. Or you may have to throw a couple bucks somebody's way. Okay, like there were times where I actually paid people for things that I probably shouldn't have been paying for just because I knew in the end they were kind of doing me a favor. There were times, remember for a couple of years, I was paying realtors some money to comp even first,
yeah,
right?
We were paying them $15 a comp.
I was paying $15 a comp because I knew they weren't going to get the listing. But, but I were giving them a lot of volume. So at $10, $15 a pop, they were making $300-400 at the end of the month. So that was, that gave them some kind of value. But really the ability to perform is the key in this business in terms of getting credibility and in terms of getting people to do things for you.
Mm-hmm. Marco Huerta, he is wholesaling considered real estate as far as the IRS is concerned. How do you handle money through a corporation, LLC, or S Corp? Marco, I never answer tax questions. I never answer legal questions. That's just not something I'm going to answer.
So wholesaling and read this first sentence again.
Is wholesaling considered real estate as far as the IRS is
Okay,
concerned?
as far as IRS is concerned, they could care less if you're a truck driver, if you're a wholesaler, if you're an investor, if you're an accountant. As far as the IRS is concerned, they're just cared about money you're making. Okay, so if you're making money, however you're making it, wholesaling, retailing it, fix and flipping, it is absolutely considered income. And yes, absolutely, you're taxed at whatever tax bracket you're in. What was the second question?
Or do you handle the money through a corporation, LLC, or an S corp?
Well, again, that's not that, it's not a this or that. That's just an entity the way you set up. And so I would suggest for reasons other than just accounting reasons to set up an LLC or an S corp. And those reasons are protection. God forbid, you own a piece of property and the child falls or gets hit by a car around the area, or somebody breaks a leg on it. Protection is the best way. For insurance purposes, you are going to be able to get tax benefits when you own something through a corporation. It's a little bit easier to write off. So yeah, do you have to do it on your first deal? No. Who's asking the question?
Marco.
Right, Mark. We're working with Marco.
Yeah.
And so Marco, we're working with you, so we got all that handled. That's the good news. When you're part of our private partner-driven coaching program, the deals that we're doing with you, we actually take the burden of all of that on from ourselves. But so nothing you have to worry about from the beginning. But ultimately, I do suggest doing that. Was there a third part?
Nope, that was it.
Okay.
We have a couple more questions, and we got time for these two more questions. Joseph Garcia, how do you recommend and approach homeowners in pre-foreclosure who will be going to auction soon but are asking for more than what they owe? Look, what you want to do, obviously, is you want to get it done as cheaply as possible. But if there's enough equity in the property for you to give them a little bit of money to make the process easier, that's fine. That's kind of one of those things with helping people, because once they move out, they're probably going to need some money to get into a rental property. And if any of you guys has ever went and moved into a different place, by the time you put the deposit on the power, the water, just getting moved in, I'm not against providing people more money on top of what they owe, as long as the deal makes sense. It's all about whether the deal makes sense. Yes, perfect case scenario, they have enough equity to where you can buy it and give them $5,000 to $8,000 so that they can get themselves taken care of, because they are going into foreclosure and they're going to lose everything. So giving them a way to get on to their next stage of their life is very helpful. Kelty, Peter, the seller put the house on the market and he called me and wants me to help him out, but there's no equity left. He's wanting me to make an offer. What can she do?
Well, look, there's no different in that seller than any seller. If somebody wants to sell their house and they want for you to make an offer, what they owe on it, in my opinion, whether they're in foreclosure or not, whether they have it in the market or not, the numbers are the numbers. If somebody's calling us directly and saying, hey, I want you to buy our house, we don't part of our equation is not like, oh, this variable changes. They're in foreclosure, so we're going to pay them more. Or this property's in the market, so we're going to pay them more. No, the numbers are the numbers. And so as a general rule of thumb, we like to stick at about 70, 75 cents on a dollar or lower. And that's how I'd make my offer. So for instance, if that house that seller is looking to get an offer on is worth $100,000 and it needs, let's say, $5,000 or $10,000 worth of work, then you probably want to, start by offering somewhere around 40, 45, work your way up to about, $65,000 or $70,000 on that deal. But I will tell you one thing, I think you mentioned already, they want more than it's worth, or they want whatever it's worth. That is the person you want to put up in your follow-up system, because we know they're motivated. They're trying to sell. They're reaching out for potential buyers. They may be unrealistic today, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be unrealistic 3 or 4 weeks from now. Because remember, time, as I always talk about, is the greatest motivator. So go through the negotiation process, get as low as you can, And if it's still nowhere near that where it needs to be, just simply leave your name and number and make sure you put in your own follow-up ticker. And every 3-4 weeks, call them up, see if things have changed, and you'll be shocked how many times people start at this price and end up selling at this price.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, another idea, Kelty, that kind of goes back to you and building relationships, because they owe basically what the house is worth, you know. What I would do is, you guys know I'm a relationships person. I would refer it to a real estate agent. That's the only way they're going to be able to sell their house. And let me tell you, you ain't going to have no problem getting any comps when you get a referral for a listing. I promise you that. Wouldn't you agree?
No question about it.
Referrals are key.
We have a whole model here that we've developed that we probably don't really talk to. We might probably need to have a whole session that we do on that. Well, we work with real estate agents. We've actually gotten big enough. We've developed our own teams of agents across the nation. And that's where it started from, basically taking leads or deals we couldn't do, flipping it to an agent, having them convert it to a retail listing, and getting a referral fee in the back end. So yeah, absolutely very powerful strategy.
Well, we're signing off. I've got to get in here. I got some appointments this afternoon. I may or may not be on this call next Thursday. I have an appointment with a seller, and I'm not going to miss it. Now, I want this house, so I may or may not be able to make it back in time for next week's for Thursday. But we appreciate you, and we're glad that you're part of this with us. And we hope you have a blessed day, a blessed weekend, and we will see you soon.
See you guys.